Boy, you should know her name. Too focused, she focused on her. Girl, you should know her name. Up late, grinding hard, she's a star. It's Paris, Miss Williams. It's Paris, Miss Williams. It's Paris, Miss Williams. Don't just know Miss Williams. It's Paris, Miss Williams. It's Paris, Miss Williams. It's Paris, Miss Williams. Don't just know she's Williams. Won't heal my body, only soothe my body. All in the soap, all in the soap. Give me one of these. It's Paris, Miss Williams. It's Paris, Miss Williams. It's Paris, Miss Williams. It's Paris, Miss Williams.
All right, y'all. What is going on? We have some advertisements. So before we get into the program, I would like to say shout out to Brother King Simon. All right, for everything that you do here, King. This is his books, his information here. If you would like to tap in with Brother King Simon, I highly recommend that you do. Go say that Paris sent you. All right, share the wealth, share the abundance, okay? And this is my website. If you guys would like to go and use this QR code, you could go straight there and I give you all the information that you need. We also have the Patreon, which is $7 tier, and then we have a $10 tier as well. One of our other sponsors is Aquaman QM Quantum Momenta, and she does tarot and oracle readings, dream interpretation, and you can hit that QR code to make sure that you go and contact her. Tomorrow, we have the one and only, let me put it up first, Dr. Herbert Harris passing the torch to the new generation. Okay. I'm very excited here. He inspired this conversation. He has his Wisdom Wednesdays on Instagram, and it was very insightful. It was very healing, and I even had to write some of the questions and send it to my Patreon so they could be able to reassess as well. So I'm very thankful, and I'm so happy to have him on my channel tomorrow because I will be asking the questions that need to be. And before we get into the program here, I have the masterclass, which is happening February 22nd this month. So I don't know what you're waiting on, but go get your tickets for the masterclass. Okay. And with that being said, what's up? I am Paris. I am not doing tarot today, but this is going to be one of the Saturn's lessons here, okay? And I do have 20% off on my website, and the discount code is I love myself. It has to be over $50. So with that being said, let's get straight into the amazing book. If you haven't read it already, we are actually doing this chapter on Friday, so I'm not even supposed to be doing this right now, but I just feel so inclined. Like my throat chakra is definitely being activated right now, and I really need to get this off my chest. Um, it's like a little healing therapy for myself. Let me plop something up real quick. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is going to be the 4 agreements. Okay, chapter 3. We are on the chapter 3 on Patreon, but this chapter is just so important, and the name of it is "Don't Take Anything Personally." And I've highlighted a few things that I would like to speak about, and I could just speak about my experiences. If you guys would like to chime in the chat, that would be great. And one thing that I love, well, actually, this is chapter 3, but this is the second agreement, which is don't take anything personally. And one of the things that it highlights, that at first, the first page, it says here, whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. And I feel like a lot of us tend to do that, right? We tend to take things very personal because we have our own attachments, our own energy that we want from an outcome that possibly isn't as what it say it is. One of the things that I also highlighted in this chapter is nothing other people do is because of you. it is because of themselves. All people live in their own dream, in their own mind. They are completely different. They're in a completely different world from the one you live in. Take something personally, we make the assumptions that they know what is in our world, and we try to impose our world into their world. And this is very touchy for me, because like sometimes we want people to be in our worlds, but they're not having the same experience, right? It's kind of like literally you have your own universe, they have their own universe. And as much as we want other people to be a part of our universe, they're not. And once we start to realize that we can't take things personal when it comes down to the way that people move, then you could be able to break a lot of spells. Um, And one of the things that I also highlighted here is, even when a situation seems so personal, even if others insult you directly, it has nothing to do with you. What they say, what they do, and their opinions they give are according to the agreements they have within their own minds. Their point of view comes from all the programming they receive in domestication. And this is very important because um, like a year ago, I, things started looking really good for me when it came down to I mean, it's been good, making soap is okay. Like it's a pivot, right? And so I was working with someone, I was helping their business, right? I was working in their store, and when I decided to kind of disconnect from the person respectfully, right? I did everything that I can, but sometimes the universe does this thing where it's like when something here is not in alignment with you, why do you keep on trying to make an alignment? And that was one of the questions that I asked the Patreon today. Is like, what is out of alignment that just doesn't fit you anymore, right? And so, long story short, I was working with this lady in her store, and I've been working for her for years, right? Now, can't lie, this lady definitely helped me get to where I'm at. I wouldn't have been this far without her because of the platform that she has. But when I decided to kind of disconnect myself, and it wasn't that I meant to disconnect, it was just like spirit had it to where I had to disconnect. I didn't have no babysitting. Um, my child's father kind of dissipated. He went somewhere else, so I really didn't have no help. Um, and that's how universe works, right? When it's like out of alignment with you, you just really realize here that that's it, it's done. Stop trying to make something fit that doesn't fit you anymore. Um, One of the things that the lady had did was that she not only took it personal, but she, when the time came when I started working with certain people and I started getting a lot of exposure, the lady basically like tried to like throw me underneath the dirt, saying don't work with her. She's an opportunist. Um, you know, like throwing like very shady comments. The fact that she even called the person and called certain people and told them not to work with me, you could obviously tell that she took something personal. And throughout the throughout that time of hers kind of throwing me underneath the bus, I didn't one up her. I could have said a lot of things. I could have done a lot of things. I could have went to the store, right? I could have got crazy, but I didn't, because I knew that my time was up. But I did take it personal. And one thing that I did differently than I would have done in the past was that I transmuted that energy. Everything that the woman had said, I actually did the opposite of it. She said that I was a user and that I don't like telling people don't work with me because I'm an opportunist. So what I did was I made my own platform. I didn't ask no handout from none of the people that she knew. But it kind of worked out for me because that actually the people that she knew wanted to work with me because of the fact that I made my own platform. See, I wasn't desperate, and I wasn't going to, as much as I took it personally, I also transmuted that energy into something to where I proved that person wrong. And so I like this chapter because it says here the point of view, the point of what they say and what they do in their opinions they give are according to their agreements they have within their own minds. And this is so true because a lot of the time, maybe there was something here that happened to her that she had been programmed and it didn't work out for her. So then she thinks that I'm a person that worked with her, even though I have shown myself there was something here that was a programming that just didn't align with me, and that happened throughout some type of domestication. And it's you could go two ways when people say certain things to you. Either take it personally and then break down, or you're going to realize here that I could transmute this energy into making something here better for myself, right? So it's all on how you go about it, and this is a really good chapter for those who's into it. One of the other things that I wrote, I had highlighted is whatever you feel and do is just projection of your own personal dreams, a reflection of your own agreements. What you say, what you do, and the opinions you have are according to the agreements you've made, and those opinions have nothing to do with me. So once again, just to highlight that experience here, it's kind of like 9 times out of 10, a lot of things that people say is their agreements within themselves that has nothing to do with you. But once you make that agreement that is your like that has something to do with me, then you are trapped. Then you start to suffer. Um, One of the things that I love about myself is that I know who I am, and even in this book, Miguel speaks about that. It says here, it does not affect me because I know what I am, and I know who I am. And when you know who you are, there's nothing or no one can be able to take you off your path or your journey. It doesn't matter what they say. I feel like God, the universe, whatever it is, have made me very like tough like iron at a young age from being in the gangs, right? I was blood and I'm still actually blood. I never left the set, but um when I decided to become blood or when I decided to kind of go into becoming a public figure, it was never easy for me, right? There was times where I was exploited, right? There was pages about me. Um, I had people. It was just crazy. I could tell you so much things that happened to me, and I used to really take it personal because I just didn't understand why people did the things that they did to me. But when I started to really love myself and started to go into that self journey, I realized why. Because I'm starved and I'm bright as hell. So it's either two things, right? When you're starved, your sun you shine bright, and so what happens is that other people start to get intimidated by the things that you just naturally have, right? Even if you don't have a lot, there's something about you that makes people jealous or envious or want to kind of like take away that shine. So I got over that very quick. Definitely once I had my daughter, like I couldn't I couldn't fail. There was no feeling no more. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't have the baby. It's kind of like I could go to work, I could pick up a job, but one of the reasons why I started to get face tattoos was to remind me that I do not want to go back to work. Even though I had face tattoos and I was working still, I knew that I wanted to make a commitment with myself and be like, listen, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to get it done. And now that I go back in reflection of the things that people have done to me, and at one point I did take it personal, it had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with me. And 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do with you. The breakups, even even when it comes down to relationships, right? And this is something that I'm still previously like healing, right? Because it's like when you know yourself and you start to deal with someone here, it's like there's like a compromise in some type of way, right? Um, People want to feel needed. People want to feel like, you know, they bring some type of substance to your life. And so when you are very powerful and when you're very strong and you are very assertive of yourself, that brings that the insecurity in relationships, friendships, et cetera. And even being a Pisces, right? Pisces is the 12th house. So we have been in each house already. We have been in each house. So it makes it even more powerful because I've experienced each sign in some type of way, shape, or form, right? I've experienced each house, the first house, the second house, the third house, the fourth house, and I can even go back to those houses if I wanted to. It's very symbolical, but so when you know yourself, it's like you can't take it can't affect you because you already know who you are. And so like even when you go through a relationship now, you know yourself, you've been focusing on yourself, you've been doing the shadows, you've been doing the shadow work, and something here doesn't go as planned, try not to take it personally because it has nothing to do with you. Like it says here, nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. All people live in their own dream, in their own mind, and they are completely in a different world from you. When we take something personally, we make the assumptions that they know what is in our world, and we try to impose our world into their world. And so today's reflection is how many of us have tried to impose our world into their world? How many of us try to make other people understand or try to make them understand our world and they just can't understand because they're not in your world. They don't know what you're going through, and we don't know what they're going through. So before you assume and take things personal, you have to understand that 9 times out of 10 it has nothing to do with you. Another thing that I highlighted in this chapter was whatever you feel and do is just a projection of your own personal dream. Um, so this is very interesting here. And also it says what you say, what you do, and the opinions you have are according to the agreements you have, and these opinions have nothing to do with me. Let me read that again. Whatever you feel and do just is a projection of your own personal dream and a reflection of your own agreements. What you say and what you do and the opinions you have are according to the agreements you have made. And these opinions have nothing to do with me. Do you know how deep that is? My personal dream, my own perception, has been a projection of my own reality. So anything that now you say is really just a projection of your own reality, and it has nothing to do. So let's say, for instance, my last lesson to myself, right, was, um, and this is very vulnerable. I went and I wanted some closure from someone that I was dealing with at one point, and it's been a few years. It's not it's been a few years. Person had babies. Person was in relationships, and a part of me was still attached to this person, very spiritually, right? But it was my own dream, right? It was my own reality. It was that reoccurring thought or that reoccurring um, maybe time in my life that kept on playing back. And I know a lot of us do that, right? Where it's like something here really impacted you either negatively or positively, right? So now it's even though time passes and you still have that, you still kind of get caught up in that dream, you get caught up in that reality. So what happens is that you project your energy, you project your experiences on other people. And so um I can't speak for this guy. I can only speak for myself in what I've went through and what I've experienced. And I knew that all of those experiences were just a projection of that one dream, that one vision, that one experience. You know what I'm saying? Even if it was other people. Um, and I'm not that type of person. I'm not a type of person to just be going from person to person. Um, when I was younger, before my daughter, I would do shit like that. And I was dealing with women. I had 3, 4 bitches at one time. Excuse my language. But as I got older, definitely now that I have a daughter, I can't do shit like that. I can't. I gotta. It's either I have someone and I'm talking to them and I'm paying attention to my daughter, I'm paying attention to my business, or it's just my business and my daughter. That's it. I don't try to look outside myself to try to find something that is outside of me. And that's one thing that people need to realize as well is like there's nothing outside that doesn't come within. Like you need to focus on you first before you can be able to focus on anybody else. And that is also projection, right? So I digress. Um, I had kind of planned exactly how things was gonna go, right? And the person came, we got to speak. It didn't really go the way that I wanted it to go, right? But in between the time that we did experience each other, we um we did get to have some conversations and conversations that I needed to speak. Like I was thinking about these conversations like for years before I could even speak to this person here again. 'Cause like I said, it's been years in between the time that we didn't have the closure. Um, and he had children, you know what I'm saying? He went on with his life or whatever the case may be. So, but one thing that I want to point out that I had to learn this last lesson was that I couldn't make going back to this part is like I can't make or try to impose my world onto his world, my journey to his journey, my strengths to his strengths. It just couldn't work. And as much as you think in your own mind that people in between times that you're not talking to them, that you're thinking that they would be doing the same thing that you're doing, then you're fucking insane. Well, I know I'm insane, but I'm saying like I thought this time away would have had we would have been able to build and we could have been able to experience and we could be able to heal and we could have this conversation. But the conversation it wasn't what I expected. And I also had to realize in the now that I couldn't impose into this person's world what I had in my world, my experiences. Um, so that was a big spell break as well because sometimes we live in out that dream world. You want an experience to happen, or you have experienced this experience, and so you making this experience, and even when people come into your life, you want that experience to happen again with certain people, and it's not the same. So when you break that spell, then you realize that damn, I spent all this time thinking this, having this reality, and it wasn't even true. We can't impose our world on their world. Can't do it. We can't do it. Um, and last but not least, before I get off this was a major lesson to me. And we're going to be speaking about if you guys have read the four agreements and you would like to participate in the book club, just write down in the comments down below after the video, and I could send you the book club um, chat group. And so we will be doing this chapter here. But I had to speak today about this. It was heavy on my heart. When we really see other people as they are without taking it personally, we can never be hurt by what they say or do. Even if others lie to you, it is okay. They're lying to you because they are afraid. And when you don't take things personally, you also realize, yeah, I can't get hurt because I already am detached from my own world and whatever it is that I'm trying to impose, right? Because that's the main question here. How have you been imposing your world onto other people's world, and expecting them to live up to the expectations that they can't give you? So if a person lies to you, if a person hurts you in a way that you expected them to come into a situation that they didn't, then you just have to understand that maybe it has nothing to do with you. It has a lot to do with them. Don't take it personal. And another thing is that stop trying to make it seem like everything's about you. It's not. We want it to be about us, but it's not. Think about if the person ate this morning, this rising, what has been occurring before you've seen them, before you spoke to them, before you was in their life. Where were you in your life? There's a lot of questions that we can ask ourselves, and this is why we need to reassess. And last year, for me, I was in that number 1 year, and it was just like a lot of me having to reassess my life. You know, one of the questions that Dr. Herbert Harris spoke about in his Wisdom Wednesdays, I wrote this down in Patreon, but he says, what are some habits or a pattern that keeps happening and expecting the same results? What is some things that that keeps on happening in your life and you keep on getting the same results? What keeps you stuck? And the last question I wrote, that was it. What do you need to reassess that keeps coming back that no longer serves you? What are some habits and patterns that keep happening and expecting the same results? What keeps you stuck? And 9 times out of 10, what keeps you stuck is the old mindset of taking things personal that has nothing to do with you. And when you realize that 9 times out of 10 it has nothing to do with you, then you can be able to release that stuff. Don't take it personal. If you are taking it personal, then you need a journal. Get my book. Break through those barriers. Journal about it. Write about it. Express it. Make a podcast. What have you took personal that has nothing to do with you? Why are you taking it personal? Where does that come from? Is it because you want to control the narrative? Because you expect somebody else to be in your world? They have their own world. They have their own universe. They have their own design. They have their own natal chart. What do you need to let go of today so you don't take it personal? That's a good question. So with that being said, you guys, if you like this, please like it, share with a friend. And the book that we are on is The Four Agreements. I do have a book club. We are on the second agreement here, which is the third chapter. Don't take anything personal. And with that being said, that's my review of this chapter and this book. Peace and love. Have a good day.